I was dead on my feet. 12 hours in a cramped kitchen, half my team calling out sick, and a prep line that ran like a war zone. I wanted nothing more than to fall into the couch, melt into the cushions, and let my brain slide into numb scroll mode. But then my phone buzzed. Aunt Renee, not a text person. Usually just calls on birthdays or holidays. Never messages. The preview said, "You need to see this, Leo." I'm sorry, my stomach flipped. No context. No emojis. Just that. I tapped it. A video. My thumb hovered for a beat too long, gut already tightening, and then I pressed play. There he was. Ryan. My little brother, 25, smirking like he owned the goddamn world. He was lounging in a patio chair, beer in hand, at our parents' backyard BBQ. Same crooked oak tree in the background. Same plastic folding table that's been half broken since 2014. He was surrounded, Jade, Brandon, even our dad, all laughing like some sitcoms about to cue the applause. Ryan raised his drink, voice dripping with sarcasm. Leo's too dumb to ever kick me out. He just lets me live rent-free like an idiot. Jade burst out laughing. Brandon howled. Even Dad chuckled. I didn't. I watched that grin stretch wider. Watched him lean back like this was all one big joke. He actually thinks I'm broke. Please. I make more than he even knows. Why should I pay rent when my brother's willing to carry me? More laughter. My grip on the phone turned into a vice. My thumb hit replay. Then again. 3 years. 3 whole years I let him live in my apartment. No rent, no bills, no expectations, because he cried on the phone after a breakup, said he needed help, needed me, and I bought it. Of course I did. He was my brother. I offered a room, a safe space. I meant every word when I told him, take your time. And what did I get? A punchline. I couldn't move, couldn't think straight, couldn't even speak. It wasn't rage. Not yet, just this hollow pressure in my chest. Like the air had thickened around me. Like I'd swallowed a secret and now it was choking me from the inside out. Another buzz. Aunt Renee again, I wasn't sure I should send it. But you needed to know. My old self, the fixer, the forgiver, would have texted Ryan right then, given him a chance to explain. Maybe he was drunk. Maybe it was a bad joke. But that version of me? He died somewhere between the first and third playback. I typed back, thank you. Don't say anything to him. I'll handle it. Hit send. Locked my phone. The house was quiet. Too quiet. And suddenly, it wasn't mine anymore. It was his crash pad, his party zone, his punchline. I didn't sleep that night. Not because I was crying, not because I was angry, because I was done. And he had no idea what was coming. The next morning, the apartment was still standing. Same flickering light in the hallway. Same chipped mug I'd been meaning to throw out. Same roommate from hell, clueless, humming, stretching like a cat as he wandered into my kitchen in pajama pants I paid for. Morning, Ryan said between yawns, cracking his neck. Slept like a baby. That guest bed's way too comfortable. I nodded, sipped my coffee. My hands didn't shake. My voice stayed steady. Everything I felt was quiet, cold, focused. He didn't know I'd watched the video a dozen times. Didn't know I hadn't slept. Didn't know the guy across the counter wasn't the same brother he'd laughed about behind his back. Hey, I said casually, watching cream swirl into my cup. What's your plan this month? He blinked, halfway through pouring oat milk into my mug. The oat milk I bought, like always. What do you mean? You've been here a while, I said with a shrug. Just wondering if you've started thinking about moving. New place, fresh start, that kind of thing. He laughed, like I just told a joke. Dude, I've got so much going on right now. Moving's the last thing I need to stress about. Plus, you know how expensive it is out there. I fought the urge to roll my eyes. Expensive? Right. For someone who makes more than I even know. I kept my tone light. Totally. Which is why I was thinking maybe it's time to make a few changes around here. His spoon paused in his cereal bowl. What kind of changes? I looked him dead in the eye, still sipping. Starting next month, I'm going to need you to start paying rent. He stared at me, then laughed again. Louder this time. Wait, you're serious? I nodded. Yeah, I mean, it's been 3 years, Ryan, rent-free. I figured it was time. He scoffed. Come on, Leo. We're family. You really expect me to pay, rent? Yes. That one word dropped like stone into a still lake. He leaned back against the counter, crossing his arms like he was trying to piece together a defense. Wow, I just wasn't expecting you to pull something like this. Something like what? I asked, genuinely curious. Asking for basic adult responsibility? You're acting like I'm some random roommate. You've been living here like one. He scowled. This is out of nowhere. It's really not, I said calmly. In fact, I've been overly patient. So let's keep it simple. I thought $1,200 a month sounded fair. Below market, honestly. You're getting a steal? $1,200? He practically choked. Are you out of your mind? I raised an eyebrow. No. I just stopped being out of touch with reality. He slammed his coffee down a little harder than necessary. After everything I've been through, you're going to charge me rent? After everything I've done for you, I corrected. Yeah, I am. He muttered something under his breath, probably hoping it'd sting. I didn't bother asking what. I just walked over to the sink, rinsed out my mug, and dried my hands like I hadn't just flipped his entire world upside down. I wasn't yelling. I wasn't threatening. But I was done, and he could feel it. He tried a few more times that week. A dramatic sigh here, a forced sob story there. Even a late-night attempt to talk about feelings over my whiskey. But I didn't budge. Then Friday came, and with it the paperwork. At exactly 9:00 a.m., Ryan got the email. Lease agreement, signed and generated by the property management firm I'd hired. Terms were clear. First payment due today. I sat on the couch, sipping my coffee, as he stormed into the living room, waving his phone like it was proof of betrayal. Leo, what the hell is this? I didn't even blink. That's your rental contract. My what? I set my mug down, leaned back. Since you said you wouldn't pay rent, I decided to formalize the situation. You're now officially a tenant. You're insane. No, I said calmly. I'm just done being played. Ryan disappeared for 2 days. I knew his pattern rage first, then retreat, then guilt trip. So I wasn't surprised when the apartment went quiet. No messy cereal bowls in the sink. No thumping bass at 2 a.m. No hijacked Netflix account logged into some true crime binge. Honestly, it was kind of peaceful, but the storm didn't skip town. It just circled. Friday night, I was curled up on the couch with a book and a rare sense of calm when the door slammed open. Ryan, pacing, arms folded, jaw tight. So, he said, like we were picking up a casual chat. You really serious about this rent thing? I didn't flinch. I set my book down and looked at him. Yeah, why wouldn't I be? He threw his arms out. Because it makes no sense. After 3 years, now suddenly you want me to pay rent? Where's this coming from? I leaned back into the cushions. It's not sudden, Ryan. It's overdue. He scoffed. We're family, Leo. Family doesn't treat each other like tenants. You've been living like one. Why shouldn't you pay like one? His face twisted, part offense, part confusion. He wasn't used to resistance. He'd gotten by on charm and guilt for years. Then came the shift. The sigh. The dramatic pause. The softened tone. Classic Ryan. Look, he said, rubbing his temples. I know I joke around a lot, maybe too much, but I appreciate you, okay? I've just been going through a lot. I raised an eyebrow. A lot, he nodded, eyes cast down. Work, stressful, personal stuff. I don't like dumping it on people. That's fair, I said, then added, so you have the money? He blinked. What? You just said it's life stress, not financial, I said, voice casual. So paying rent shouldn't be an issue, right? He froze. I watched him scramble behind his eyes. The wheels were spinning, gears grinding. Then he recovered technically I could, he admitted, waving a hand, but why should I? You don't even need the money. There it was. The truth. He didn't see it as fair because he wasn't the one giving, only taking. I smiled slowly. It's not about need, Ryan. It's about respect and boundaries. He rolled his eyes. Boundaries? God, this is so dramatic. No, I said, still calm. What was dramatic was you laughing at me to your friends, saying I was too dumb to kick you out. His eyes widened. I hadn't brought it up yet, not directly. I'd waited for this moment. I saw the video, I said. He opened his mouth, closed it. Uncle Rene sent it to me. His jaw twitched. I didn't mean it like that. You meant it exactly like that. I watched you say it over and over. He looked away. It was a joke. Was it funny? He didn't answer. So here's how this works, I continued. You've got 2 choices: sign the lease and start paying rent like an adult, or move out. His eyes snapped back to mine. Move out? Are you seriously threatening to evict me? I'm not threatening anything. I've already filed the paperwork. His face drained of color. You'd actually go through with that? You gave me no choice. You've lived here for free, Ryan. For 3 years. You took advantage of me. You laughed at me. And now? I'm done. He stood there, fists clenched, breathing shallow. You really have changed, he muttered. I tilted my head. No, I've just stopped letting you walk all over me. And I meant it. He didn't say anything else. Just stormed out again, this time without slamming the door. That weekend, he was a ghost. I saw him once passing through the hallway with a bag and a hoodie pulled low over his face. I didn't ask where he was going. I didn't care, but I knew something had shifted. The power balance had cracked. He wasn't in control anymore. I was. And I wasn't done. 3 days passed. No rent, no signed lease, just silence. Ryan wasn't around much, probably crashing with friends or burning through the same credit card he told me he maxed out last month. But I didn't chase him. I didn't remind him. I gave him a deadline. He knew it. I figured he'd either pay or pack. But I wasn't expecting midnight on a Tuesday. The front door cracked open quietly, like maybe he was hoping I was asleep. I was on the couch, laptop in my lap, pretending to work but fully alert, waiting. He stepped inside, dropped his bag by the door with a thud. We locked eyes. We need to talk, he said, his voice tight. No slur, no smirk, just tension. I closed the laptop slowly, set it on the coffee table. I'm listening. He crossed the room, didn't sit, just hovered, pacing the same stretch of floor like a trapped animal. You really filed the paperwork? Yes. You're seriously evicting me? No, I said, calm. I gave you a choice. You chose neither. That's not on me. He laughed, short, bitter. I was gone for 3 days. You didn't even reach out. I didn't think I needed to, I replied. We already had the conversation. You don't get it, he snapped. I needed time to figure things out. I tilted my head. You've had 3 years. He froze. I let that land. Then I added, and if Aunt Renee hadn't sent me that video, I'd probably still be paying for your oat milk while you laughed behind my back. He ran a hand through his hair. That video, you don't even know the context. You're right, I said. I just know what I saw. You calling me an idiot, bragging about how you make more than I know, making me the punchline while I gave you a place to live. I was venting, he said, voice cracking just slightly. I stood up then, not angry, just steady, eye level, unblinking. You were mocking me. That wasn't venting. That was gloating. He looked away. I never asked you to take care of me, he muttered weakly. No, I said. You just let me do it. And you never once thought about what it cost me. We stood in silence, tension thick enough to cut. Then Ryan broke it. Okay, he said, voice low. I messed up. I know that. I shouldn't have said those things. I was being stupid. I didn't speak. I'm just not ready, he admitted. I don't have anywhere to go. I took a slow breath, walked to the kitchen counter, opened my email. You do now, I said, pulling up a list. I found 3 apartments within 5 miles, all in your budget. One landlord even offered to waive the deposit if you apply by Friday. He stared at me like I'd just kicked his dog. You planned this? I prepared, I corrected, because I knew you wouldn't. He scoffed. You really went behind my back? I took responsibility, I replied. The same thing I've been begging you to do for years. His eyes darkened. You're actually enjoying this, aren't you? Finally getting to punish me. I'm not punishing you, Ryan, I said, steady as ever. I'm holding you accountable. He flopped onto the couch, staring at the ceiling like it had answers. I just didn't think you'd go this far, he muttered. That's the problem, I said. You never thought I'd stop covering for you. He was quiet again. Tired, angry, maybe both. Then, softer than before. So what now? I picked up my laptop. You've got until Friday to sign the lease or give me a move-out date. If neither happens, the 14-day notice hits your inbox Saturday morning. He looked at me like he wanted to say something cruel, something cutting, but it never came. Instead, he stood up. Fine. He didn't slam the door this time, didn't stomp, just walked off to his room and closed it behind him. No theatrics, no excuses, just the weight of consequences finally settling on his shoulders. And for once, I didn't feel guilty, not even a little. A year after I shut the financial faucet off, my life was quieter, not in the lonely kind of way, more like the kind of quiet that fills a kitchen after the final dinner rush, the kind that hums, the kind you earn, the The guilt used to visit me every morning, whispering I was selfish, cold, ungrateful. That whisper had become a ghost. Not gone completely, but faded, harmless. Now, mornings meant slow coffee, Basil curled up beside me, and the ocean breeze sneaking through cracked windows. The chef's dorm I'd once felt trapped in became temporary, then comforting, then irrelevant, because by that spring, I'd bought my own place. A modest cottage 10 minutes from the resort. Nothing fancy, just 2 bedrooms, a small patio, and a kitchen that finally belonged to me. For once, every pan, every knife, every spice jar had a place, and none of it felt like it could be taken away at any moment by a phone call from a relative saying, "We need your help again." That silence, the absence of demands, was louder than anything, until it wasn't. The letter arrived in April, postmarked from my parents' town. The return name, Helen Hale. I stared at the envelope like it might burn. It was thick, 10 pages at least, folded carefully. Her handwriting was still the same as when she'd leave notes in my school lunch. "Don't forget to smile today. Love, Mom." Now it said only Nathan. I opened it slowly, unsure whether I wanted to read an apology or brace for a guilt trip dressed in cursive. It began, "My dearest Nathan, this letter has taken me 6 months to write and another 6 to build the courage to send. I won't pretend that we didn't fail you. I won't excuse it. I just hope that this version of me, the one writing you now, is someone you can hear." I stopped reading halfway down the page, put it aside, walked Basil, made tea, then came back and finished. She didn't deny anything. She didn't soften it. That night, the video, it wasn't a joke. Not really. Maybe we said it was. Maybe we believed it was. But it wasn't. It was how we talked when we thought you weren't listening. And that makes it worse. Because if that's how we talk when you're not in the room, what does that say about who we were to you? I didn't realize I was crying until I felt the page go damp. She continued, "We didn't just accept your help, Nathan. We built our lives around it. We counted on it without ever asking if you could afford to give it, not financially, but emotionally. You became the backbone of a family that didn't know how to stand on its own anymore. And when you finally said enough, we didn't ask why. We called you selfish. We made you the villain because it was easier than facing what we had become." I read those lines 3 times. She talked about how things had changed. Slowly, painfully, quietly. Danielle works now at a gym front desk. It's not glamorous, but it's hers. She pays her rent, sometimes late, but she pays it. Mark delivers groceries on weekends and started taking online business classes. He says it's hard. I told him hard is good. Hard means you're finally trying. Gerald and I moved. Smaller place. Less upkeep. We planted tomatoes last month. They're already sprouting. First time we've gardened together in years. I smiled despite myself. She wasn't writing to win me back. She was writing to finally see me. "You didn't leave us, Nathan. We pushed you away, piece by piece, request by request, until there was nothing left but obligation. And even then, you stayed, until you couldn't anymore." She included memories, soft ones. The birthday where I made my own cake. The year I used my first paycheck to take the family to dinner. The time I cooked dinner for Mom after she'd had surgery. Even though I'd pulled a double shift. "You have always taken care of everyone, even when we didn't deserve it. I don't expect forgiveness. But I do hope that, this version of me, the one who writes this, loves you for more than what you gave us. She loves you for what you withstood and what you walked away from, finally." The letter ended simply, "With love and regret, Mom." I folded the pages back into the envelope and stared at them for a long time. I didn't feel angry. I felt seen. That was new. I waited a week. Then I sat down and wrote back. Only 2 pages. No drama, no venom, just truth. "Mom, thank you for your letter, for not asking for anything, for not defending what you can't. You're right. I didn't leave. I was pushed, gently at first, then with expectation, then with entitlement. What hurt the most wasn't the money. It was being needed only when it was convenient. It was hearing that I was tolerable only because I paid the bills, that I was never enough unless I was giving something up. Boundaries aren't walls, they're bridges with tolls. If you want to cross them, you pay with honesty, not shame. I'm not ready to rebuild everything yet, but I'm open to exploring something new if it's based on respect, not roles, not obligations. I'm your son, not your salary. I signed it Nathan, weeks passed. I didn't hear back. And that was okay. I meant what I said. I wasn't closing the door, but I wasn't swinging it open just because they finally knocked with better manners. I wasn't the same person who had taken care of everyone else while eating instant noodles and skipping doctor's appointments. I wasn't just the chef anymore. I was a person, a man with his own dreams, his own needs. And for once, they mattered too. On my birthday, I received a small box in the mail. No return address, but I knew the handwriting. Inside was a framed photo, me at 12, flour on my face, burnt cookies in my hands, laughing like I had just invented joy. Tucked inside was a note. Danielle started baking with the neighbor's kids. Mark's boys want to learn how to grill. Dad still burns toast, but he's trying. We miss you. No requests, no demands, just, we miss you. And we're learning. I smiled. Then I walked into my kitchen, pulled out a bowl, cracked 2 eggs into it, and began making the dough for cookies. Not for a party, not for obligation. For me, just because I wanted to, because I could, because I was finally living a life that was mine.